take anything away as far as meta picks are concerned. This is more to that effect, which is the Rumble here, which now KT has to ban because they didn't actually use that and free up that ban slot moving into the next part. So there's a Sejuani ban as well. A little bit of a change up here for KT, as last time it was Poppy and JAYCE that they took away.
Now that Talia's gone, you just take the Azir away. I wonder what this final ban will be. Could be just a Varus ban, but I mean, at this point, again, HANWHA Life have such a wide variety of champions to play. Xin Zhao could have been a first pickable here, I suppose.
Yep.
That's not... That's not what I would go with when you have no idea what your lane priority is going to be if it was going to be a jungle pick. You can call it a denial pick against ZEUS because he's a lot of that 86.7%, by the way.
Yeah, it's also a pick away from Peanut as well. Peanut has been very good on the Nidalee, so I guess it sort of makes sense. But now ZEUS gets his JAYCE, which is a problem.
That's an issue. Significant one. It's like, oh, well, I guess I won't be playing Yone because that's banned. I won't be playing Yone Sejuani, which you banned both of. So there's no reason not to pick JAYCE in this scenario. And we'll see if it's just going to be a Nefiri lock here for Peanut. I think that's a relatively safe call at this point, unless they want to prioritize something for Viper instead.
Yeah, I think the Nefiri certainly is creeping up there as far as the priority list is concerned, but I don't like it. I feel like it just hasn't done enough. When it wins, it's often like the game gets won around it and you need to snowball in order to make it work, and when it loses, it just looks really, really sad. So maybe it's a little bit of bias in that regard. I don't like sad hot dogs.
I wonder what BDD's plan to this Victor is going to be. Well, you know, you need Prio to play Nidalee jungle. When you're picking Sion into JAYCE, you're not going to have that.
True.
It's guaranteed.
One thing that you do, though, is... You know, JAYCE struggles to cut through the Sion the later on in the game you go, and Nidalee is the classic pick into the Sion, so if they wanted to somehow flex the JAYCE somewhere else, which they can't do anymore because the Victor's already picked, then, you know, they wouldn't have been able to pick that one away, so it's kind of cute. BDD is going to lock away the Corki, so not a whole lot of setup for the Nidalee, but still going to have a fair bit of mixed damage here, assuming the Corki goes into the mid lane.
They lock this Corki in as well. You have really no mystery at this point on HANWHA Life's side about like where these are going. I don't think you can play Corki bottom or it's going to be a disaster. And they can protect this bottom lane with bans, and they have counter pick as well. So they can guarantee they have topside prio, which they already know that. Unless this JAYCE was going to be flexed, but it isn't. Like, it's a Victor lock-in. You know that this mid lane matchup can be volatile. It can be winnable. They even commit now to the Skarner pick here. So Prio isn't going to be in Corki's corner like to a heavy degree, especially because in the early game, Nidalee is not going to be able to do a whole lot for him because there's no synergy between those picks. Corki doesn't have CC. And so if you can get bottom Prio here, Nidalee just doesn't have any angles of attack. And I know Cuz is a fantastic Nidalee player, but I'm not finding the angles right now in this one. And look, they take away the MF, Kallista's gone, and basically they're just making sure Viper's not in a position where he's going to get pushed in, or maybe Nidalee could make something happen.
There's going to be a lot of AD carries missing if we don't pivot over towards some supports.
Alistar,
like Alistar, Rakan might just be the follow-up bans, and Rakan going to start that trend.
I think it'd probably be an Alistar ban here for the side of KT, although I don't necessarily want to play Alistar with this composition for HANWHA Life, as it would sacrifice a lot of your laning power, even though we've seen Alistar do a lot better these days in the lane.
Yeah, maybe you actually leave it up and tempt them into it.
I mean, Peter might also be like, okay, I don't think they're going to pick it. I'll get the Alistar here. Maybe let's take away Varus instead. Like, I think that's the discussion that's being had right now. But with the Alistar bend, I think Viper is probably interested in picking up that Varus pick. They already have the poke from the JAYCE, and he could play both variations. I think on hit's pretty required into the Sion. Yeah, I would agree. Have something that can actually cut down a tank would be a good idea. They could also just play late game hyper carry as well, but I think when it's Viper, when Varus is so strong on hit right now, this is probably the easiest way to go. And he doesn't really lose lane in most scenarios. So this is the big question. Like, is this going to be a winnable lane? Can Duckdom find, with Peter here, a matchup into the Varus where they win so this Nidalee first pick makes sense? Because if they don't, I'm very concerned, Atlas. Okay, Ashe, but with what? Yeah, and is it, like, I know Ashe matches range really well with the Varus, adds a lot of utility as well, which is what they've been relying on Duckdom for in these games. Still going to be locked in. Ashe Braum?
Ooh,
Ash Nautilus?
Ash Braum actually feels like it could be pretty
It's
good.
not amazing because they don't have any engage, but it's like, it could maybe not lose the lane.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this draft went boom, and you could see it because Peter is talking a lot and trying to solve the problem with Supreme right now. And he's like, well, this isn't great, but nothing really is, and they are going to opt and pivot to the Braum I was calling for. This makes your engage basically Scion.
Yeah.
And Braum kind of helps.
But you you can sort of play in the neutral, right? Like, it's going to be AP Nidalee this time, so the spears will actually hurt, and you can throw rockets from the Corki, although they don't hurt as much as they used to. And, you know, arrows can be pretty decent engage, so you get that out of the bottom lane instead of having an engage support. I don't mind it. The Bard going to come in here from HLE, and this will allow them to kite back even more effectively.
Bard is so good in this situation. It could have been the Nico we saw hovered as well. I think either of these picks really fit the bill. I think the only one I would have not really liked would have been
on the map. And because that's, you need to play through a Gwen, right? Whereas you are actually just trying to stay at least a little bit relevant as a Scion, and then you're still going to do your job, and it should be fine. See whether KT can play around that. It's a weird draft, but they're a weird team, so let's have a look.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for game number 2. Some arcane themes coming in on the side of HLE with the Victor and Jace. Hopefully they've made up their differences, although I'm sorry, Chronicler, it's a bit of a spoiler for Season 2. Still, hopefully they have sorted themselves out.
Yeah, Chronicler still doesn't know how Victor turns into a Protoss Zealot.
Exactly.
He hasn't figured it out yet.
His life is for Aya now.
One day he'll know.
And yeah, and he doesn't even understand why Corki's riding a Corgi in most of the stuff as well, because that's like halfway through the season. You learn about that.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite cameos, was when Corki came in riding the doggo. It's really, really cute. Chronicler doesn't know about it though.
He doesn't know about it. They also fully explain why Corgi's tails get docked and all that. It's like a whole thing.
It's really, like, I feel like a better person for knowing it, and I feel even better knowing that Chronicler doesn't know it.
Yeah, it's a completely different reason in Runeterra than it is in real life.
Yeah.
So
Cosmic Binding not going to quite connect there, as the Winter's Bite does. Doctor will be able to slow him down. Gets the concussive blows. That's a fair bit of damage.
So they're making the Braum work early. That's good. This needs to be a trend, as a few minions will be lost, unfortunately.
Another nice Cosmic Binding there, as Dr. at least gets the experience for the other two melees, but is otherwise not having a great time.
The Nidalee doesn't have Prio, and On Vision will take this blue buff away. That's from Raptors to blue, and kind of delayed timing of this makes it difficult to respawn. Scion can't help. No, Corki can't help. So
it's just going to be some vertical jungling by the looks of things.
Yeah.
And Cuz going to move on over and get the bad news that Peanut is in here. But it also could be a little bit of a rough time, because we can see Cuz has full information, so therefore we'll be able to steal this one away for himself. It's nicely done to at least make sure that Peanut doesn't get a full clear, and in fact didn't take the Gromp either. So it is just an even trade, but it feels like Cuz's pathing was a little bit more...
it's a little slowed down.
Yeah, a little bit more, I guess, efficient, you could say.
Yeah. And I think, obviously, Peanut can just go back and normally farm here. And there were a lot of danger pings for BDD. Like, Cuz was like, hey, he could be around, but BDD's like, I'm Corki, so not really that worried about it. And we'll just continue to try to control Prio.
That's a good teammate right there. Just comes on over, Primal Surge, moves on.
Yeah, it's like, here's some additional lane power. Because BDD is playing the early part of what can be a volatile matchup pretty well.
Yeah, he's just walking at Zeka here. Gonna use his Valkyrie to try and do some damage to those minions, as Perfect is almost dead. We have to remember that ZEUS is, it's like a ZEUS' greatest hits here in today's match. as we get his his cannon into his Jace. His spear is going to connect there. Delight's in a lot of trouble. Has to flash to get out of the way and then heals to make sure he can make it back towards his turret. In the meantime, Viper is still in a little bit of trouble.
They're trying to make this Braum pick work, and so far, I mean, it's giving them an angle to play through. That's what I was talking about in terms of the draft, and Nilly at least has this angle, at least has this opportunity.
And this is the most annoying champion to dive here as well, as Perfect going to look to try and stop Peanut from getting this done. Doesn't get the crash into the wall. Soul Furnace is there as well, and that's a really nice splash, as they will get some plate money, but they're not going to kill the Scion, not in this dive. There's great little knock-up, or attempted knock-up there from Perfect, and then the wave is dead. Teleport's available!
Yeah.
He outplayed it!
Yeah, and Peanut also flashed to survive, so he's down a flash here. Sure, it's a trade of flashes, but you feel fantastic about this one. So they're going to look for a redive. I don't know about this.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again, everyone. That's what you're supposed to do. As
he lives.
Almost goes down. Perfect is going to be able to get the rest of these minions as the Zombie Scion. So isn't going to have to give up too much, I do not think. But still, first blood going over to HLE is a big deal as Delight moving in. Looks for the Cosmic Binding, gets it, but stand beside Braum. And Peter will save his mid lane.
Oh, they still are able to make that secondary dive work because of the Nidalee attention bottom side. Peanut says, nah, we're gonna make this work. I'm spending a lot of time up here. And yeah, that ends up still being a successful dive.
It was a big investment, though, so Cuz should be able to get a lot off the map that Peanut was unable to get to.
So Peanut actually not getting aggro here before he's stunned is pretty huge. He still obviously picks up aggro right afterwards and has to flash away, but I think he probably would have been pretty doomed on the play if that knockup had happened or the stun had happened while he was with turret aggro. Comes in here, gets the stun, and then ZEUS flashes away. Really nice aggro juggle there between the two of them. And the kill does go over to the JAYCE, so ZEUS picks up an even larger lead here in this matchup. And this was the matchup I was most unhappy about in terms of what they did with this draft.
Yep. I mean, it's a rough matchup, but we do see Scions just picked so that they can exist and then be more valuable later. He's also able to get some grasp procs here, which is kind of nice.
Level 6 advantage for just a little bit. It doesn't matter for the ultimate for JAYCE, obviously, but still had an opportunity to maybe look for a play there. Peanut is nearby.
Yep, Soul Furnace Explosion does a fair bit. And Peanut not going to show his face just yet. Arcane Storm is down as VDD. Going to be dancing out of the way of a few of these buttons. And Zekka is unable to get too much there. Still with a health lead. He's feeling okay about that as Peter needs to hit this Winter's Bite. See whether he does. He does not. So he's just going to have to walk this one off.
BDD has played so aggressively in this lane. Like every time we go over there, it's like he's down slightly on health, but he knows exactly how much he can push the advantage with the resistance shred on his Gatling gun. Doctom!
A little bit of a tag there from Doctom onto ZEUS. Only level 5. Spear going to miss, as we can see, but the sidestep has to come in, so ZEUS knows he will not be able to get away. Frost shot just a little bit too strong, and Doctom able to put down the JAYCE. That is great here for KT. A little bit of an overextension there from the top laner of HLE.
Yeah, and Peanut was nowhere to be seen, so pretty aggressive move there from ZEUS to be that far up, and it's just a little slow there from Doctom is all you need. This Ashe pick is working a treat, got them a little bit of prio bottom side, was able to push Viper out, you know, and then they use that pressure there, and then up here on the top side, this slow does end up making a huge difference. They can kill ZEUS there, didn't have flash available, just decides to go for an all-in turn. BDD still has his flash.
Yep.
And we'll dodge this time.
Yeah, Delight picking up a bunch of meeps, as we could see there, swimming through the river. I don't think KT are too worried about what's
This is a great
right
start.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I mean, this is actually working out way better than I expected, and I was, I mean, it's not surprising if it worked out at all to be way better than I expected, because I was a big doomer on this draft, but happy to see KT have been able to make it work so far in this early game. Still a big lead for ZEUS, but it feels a lot better. You have been able to get a kill on the Nidalee.
Oh, 100%. And the fact that Doctom's in a good spot as well. His Ashe has actually been really good all season. He's undefeated on this champion, which is kind of nuts because they've been defeated on most things. Delight moving in, though. Magical Journey for Zekka as well, as Doctom going to be flashing immediately, and Peter, able to just put up the door. And they will be all right. Not a lot invested to make that happen, and they do get a flash out of the 80 carry, and that's very important here for HLE.
Yeah. It was hype earlier this season. They got a pentakill on Ashe and the Scion composition. And if you have that front to back, it is very strong, as
Oh, yeah, Peanut in a little bit of trouble here as the Impale just avoided on both sides. Gorgeously played here by KT. The takedown, not quite enough as Peanut pushes Cuz into the wall. Peter is following them, though, as Winter's Bite comes down. Viper cleanses the slow. They get rid of the Victor, and now Cuz has pounced back in. The drive-by onto the Scorpion. And what's like, KT, how are they all still alive?
I mean, they just played it so well there, and Peanut gets caught in the jungle, and they look for a bit of a collapse there. Beautifully played.
That was the most agile, like, pest control officer I've ever seen.
Very clean stuff. Now, obviously, with all the attention there in the middle of the map around Peanut's jungle, there's no attention here to the bottom side, but Perfect has held his own.
Yeah.
We'll actually even make ZEUS tanky turret shot there, but is going to be able to back away here. Does have his teleport. May just use it right away, but this is a pretty big lead here for KT's composition. You know, we're looking for a 2-item spike for Corki later. The Nidalee is significantly ahead of a Skarner. Obviously should be able to get a pretty big farm lead when Prio is going your way, but didn't necessarily look like that was going to be the case. But we've seen BDD in particular control this lane so well, and the roam here from Victor is kind of what dooms Peanut, because he's not in a great spot to stop the rotation over from Corki. We know the top side is coming down with the Braum and the Ashe nearby, and Cuz plays this so well, goes back in.
Yeah, the pounce over and then the swipey swipe, and then he gets out.
Yep.
That's crazy. He's already planning on taking down these grubs.
You can see it there in the first-person view. He's got his pathing set straight there. They get 3 of the grubs after the play on Peanut, and that's significant. It's a lot of denied side lane pressure here for this Jace later on. Perfect already. They're starting to get to the point where you can neutralize this Jace a lot better.
Yep. Exactly going to get zoned away here by Perfect, but I don't think he misses out on too much. Deathray is able to clear up the backline pretty comfortably now. And so I think that the Victor is going to be A-OK. Peanut moving in, looking for a little bit of a target. The arrow going to come on through here from Doctarm, but there are a lot of bad guys in this area, and he is just dead. Cut down by the piercing arrow. Nicely played there by Viper. Cuz gets here a little bit too late as now BDD and ZEUS are fighting. Perfect will show up though. Roar the Slayer to slow him down. The flash comes in, but the rocket is prepared.
Maybe you were onto something today, Atlas.
Well, I did say it had to be a 2-0, so KT would definitely still be disappointing if they win.
If they lose game 1, the only way to make that 50-50 is to win game 2.
Oh, yeah, and then we're up to a fresh 50-50 from that point on, I guess.
ZEUS is in trouble and likely dead.
He is, yeah, definitely big time not alive.
The reason why that last play happened, too, we'll probably get a replay of, man, ZEUS, he looks unhappy about what went down just there. As Peter is running the map right now, it feels like he's always where he needs to be on this Braum, which is really important in the early game. You're not great at engage later on, but in these skirmishes, you actually have a lot of power with your passive. Even your ultimate in these types of situations can be just enough to turn the tide, but the mid lane was controlled by Perfect. He pushed the wave in, then they made a play bottom side where they basically tempted ZEUS to go down, right? They like drew him in, Peanut had that opportunity there, and then they got away, and that meant that there was an opportunity then top side to make the collapse because the ultimate was still available for Perfect. So he goes up top side and makes that play. Then on the return, ZEUS gets caught. As this isn't going to amount to anything, but I got nervous for a second.
Yeah, there was a lot of, a couple of turret shots, fair bit of damage there from the turret. But you can see HLE, they don't have any way of locking down any feats of strength because that's already over to KT. As Peanut comes in, will interrupt, be interrupted, sorry, by the arrow from Doctarm and makes his way back out again. This Skarner has kind of looked like a lot of other Skarners we've had in the LCK. It just doesn't feel like it's the same power level as ZEUS. ZEUS is really going to struggle to get out of the way of this one. Peanut's going to move over, but it looks like with a flash, it is going to work out here for ZEUS. And the kitty cat going to get closed in on by Viper, who locks down yet another one.
He was able to outplay the Impale last time, but not this time.
That looked really close.
It was really close. And like that's one of those big tilters where you're like, oh, I was so close. Like everything was working out. Everything went so right for HANWHA in that moment, and the Impale hits, and down he goes. And what looked like it was a very exciting opportunity kind of ends in disaster.
Yeah, I'd already started on the eulogy for ZEUS, but he actually gets out of there just fine.
Yeah, well, with the help of a lot of friends.
Yes.
But his positioning in this game has been, I think, suspect at times, and BDD putting the pressure on him early, I think really helping out. And you can see BDD now with 3 kills is rushing towards that 3-item spike. HANWHA Life do take a gold lead, but it is very small after that last play. And again, I was writing the eulogy of the draft, the obituary. I already submitted it to the paper of KT, but this time Zeka does have this gravity field. The double stun buys just enough time here, and Peter, you know, he gets away, but Cuz decides to go in for the play, and this time the angle is good on the Impale.
Yeah. And you can see Doctom there off to the side as well. He's like, guys, there are way too many bad guys turning up. We just need to get out of here. As, all right, little T1 on the floor there, thanks to Carrier. And it's just a flash out from Doctom, but still highly valuable here for HLE. Make sure that they keep that mobility down on the AD carry of KT.
Only a 500 gold lead here now for ZEUS in this top lane matchup as well. As BDD.
Yeah, he's going to have to find a direction to Valkyrie. Does so. Magical Journey comes on through. The flash forward from Delight gets the flash out from BDD. And the Arcane Storm comes in. Will he have his Valkyrie available? The answer is he doesn't need it because he's got a Braum coming up. As Perfect has just gone Battle Scion now. As he won't find the Roar of the Slayer, but does hit a little Q onto ZEUS. The flash forward. Spear will connect. And Cuz able to get on over there to at least watch him go down.
All right, Zeka's going to get a turret in exchange here, but that is a massive win. And the Scion starting to really come online here. BDD doesn't die, loses his flash, but escapes there on the bottom side. And KT feel like they're winning kind of everywhere in this exchange. And Perfect is going to get some alone time here with this turret. In fact, Cuz looks like he's going to help out, so they should be able to delete this from the map. So it'll be a trade of turrets in the end as well after that play. You can see Peter is up on the top side of the map to deny any sort of rotation over. Peanut seen on this ward. Yep. No backs will be stopped, so great play there. I was worried for BDD when Doctom didn't ult to save him moments before that, but I think he was waiting to use his arrow for the top side play. But it works out. You know, KT just get away with it on both sides.
And it's a 3-0-1 Corki. If they had have got that kill, it would have been a lot of money. You can see it'd be like double that of any other kind of kill if they had been able to take him out. Could have actually swung the gold in a pretty meaningful way. May have helped out moving towards this Shelly fight we're seeing right here. Perfect just yelling at Shelly and then walking away. It's kind of rude. Just like walk over and yell at someone and then just wander off.
Yeah.
No explanation.
She's just chilling, man. She's just trying to,
exactly.
Trying to have a rest. Like,
it's weird. At least have a reason for it.
She's got a lot of charging to do later, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
She's got her beauty sleep. They're just going to get this Herald as HANWHA Life scramble to try to make a cross map happen in the bottom side of the jungle where ZEUS has Prio there. And
Soul
they're
point
not really
in 40 seconds as well. If they get the Herald, use that to crash mid, they create so much added control.
I mean, Zeka went for Blackfire Torch first, which is not going to help him in the side lane really at all into the Corki, and that's where the lane assignment is there. So total control to BDD on the top side of the map. He has TP to show up for that dragon fight if he wants to keep putting that pressure on. Looks like he's going to go back here. I don't know how much gold he's sitting on right now, but it's significant. I don't think he'll be able to buy that second item at 16 minutes, but he is going to pick up some additional components here and come to the fight. Just 2 long swords in his inventory, but this is a really big one for HANWHA Life. And I don't think Zeka is really fully ready to fight. He does have the TP. Herald's going to be utilized, like you said, just for some Dragon Prio here. Straight into the mid lane.
Doctom able to at least usher Shelly in. That's going to be a denied charge, but they had to invest the Tempered Fate into it. Crash into the wall there from Perfect. The driving not necessarily working out, as Cuz looking for some spears.
Big tool there used by Perfect, not finding any success, but still, they have so much control over this Dragon Pit right now.
Yep, they're pushing them all away. This is going to be Cloud Soul Point going over to KT.
ZEUS, I mean, look at him pushing the bottom lane. I think they're just simply going to give this up. I mean, he can TP in, but it's going to be very awkward to force a fight.
And you never want to give it up. You never want to let him down, Wolf.
No.
But it's what's going to happen this time around. Peanut not going to be able to get in there, and Cuz should be able to lock this one through. There it goes. And now ZEUS could be in trouble. Remember, Perfect doesn't have the ulti, but he's still so sticky, able to slow down this Jace. He's walking the wrong direction, and BDD, if Perfect doesn't have the damage, BDD definitely does.
It's just kind of bizarre decision-making in that moment. I understand the idea of just letting the Drake go and trying to push ZEUS into the side, but he, of course, is on vision. Somebody has to come shadow him, at least, if you're going to give the Dragon. You got to keep your Jace alive down there. They just kind of left him there, left the Dragon, and then ZEUS dies on the push. He's 1-4 on this Jace, and sometimes, you know, you might want to take the nameplate off if you're a HANWHA Life fan, because we're like, this Jace is one of his best. He's going to control the lane and has been punished so many times this game for greed.
Yeah.
And it is not working out the way that we thought it would, or especially I thought it would in this game.
And you also invest a lot of resources in the map to just a ZEUS Jace in general, right? Like, often there are constellations that you have to make to try and allow him to be able to push further forward. And that is feeling a lot more costly now that they're not really getting the payoff of it, as the door does so much. And in goes Perfect, finds a knock up there onto Delight. He's out of this fight forever. Zeka now off to the side, getting chased off by this absolutely massive Scion. Man, it's like we're watching Pacific Rim, and this is like towards the end of the movie where the machines are actually the ones winning.
Yeah.
Perfect is looking pretty unstoppable at this point in time.
This lawnmower of a Skarner is not one of the winning machines.
No. Maybe this is actually the Hugh Jackman movie Real Steel, you know, and that's what we're watching. It's actually a machine battle. And unfortunately...
It's the sequel, Heartsteel.
Wait, that's a boy band, man. What are you talking about? Oh, dear. Well, yeah, Peanut is representing the robot that isn't winning. Let's just call it that.
Well, this game from here on out feels very difficult to play for the side of HANWHA Life Esports. Like, Zeka went for this build where he's going to cut through Scion incredibly well, and then he's indexing into a 2-item spike later on where he has Torch and Leandries, and he just makes quick work of Perfect, and he ramps his damage up in the fight, does a ton of work there. Didn't help him in the side lane, didn't help him in the early game control-wise, but that's really what I think HANWHA Life, Viper obviously significantly far behind in this game too, but they have great late game carries that can cut through the Scion, obviously later on. It's just going to have to be clean team fighting before we get there. And if HANWHA keep getting caught in sides or keep having these awkward setups because KT's vision game has been so good here, maybe we won't get to see that front-to-back fight that HANWHA Life are banking on when we get to this 4th dragon here. AUTOWIN's going to spawn in 5 seconds time. KT are faster on the grouping.
Wow, the robot's name is ZEUS. I think it's the bad guy robot is also like spelled ZEUS, right? Like, oh my god!
I guess we were pronouncing his name wrong the whole time.
I think there'd be some people that would agree with you there, Wolf.
No, I meant the robot.
No, yeah. They were pronouncing it wrong because they weren't watching the Korean dub.
Yeah, no.
Which has ZEUS in it, obviously.
Yes.
Man, I love that movie. The movie's actually fantastic. It's a real easy watch, you know? I would recommend it. It's a feel-good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not a feel-good if you're a ZEUS fan in this game. So far, though...
Or in the movie, to be honest.
Very true. It's kind of holding up the same way as Perfect should be able to stop this back, and he will. AUTOWIN, again, better vision here for KT ROLSTER on the top side of the map.
And Perfect can get, the arrow going to sail by. ZEUS going to avoid that one. It was a great attempt because you can see it's extremely dark to the south of where Dokdom is. Yeah. Not a lot of heads up there from ZEUS, but still able to be in a different position when it did come to call.
Even if you force his flash, it feels really good. If you hit him there, probably dead, and Perfect just backs and TPs to AUTOWIN. So at least that doesn't happen. Dokdom keeps this turret alive here, but they lost a little bit of control over the AUTOWIN. That's where HANWHA Life are now grouped. ZEUS, I don't know what he was waiting for there.
Well, Perfect. Oh, can he actually? Yes. Oh, no, he can't. He's not going to hit the cannon, which is a bit of a shame.
Every time the observers come down here, I'm like, is something no, nothing is happening still, no. ZEUS is waiting to, come over there.
For his turn to hit minions.
Yeah.
and then it's Perfect's turn to hit minions. And
okay, hold on. Cuz is here now. Maybe something is happening. No, never mind. No. Acceleration gate and nothing is happening.
Yeah, well, there's unending despair for Perfect. That was the last game. I feel like it's the wrong item for this game because he seems to be having a really good time. Great turnaround here for Perfect as well, who we know is a bit of an emotional player as well, can get a little bit down on himself. So good to see him bounce back after a tough game 1. And
all right, the Cloud Soul is ready.
Yep.
And there's no prio here. I mean, HANWHA Life got some vision on AUTOWIN, but with KT not interested in fighting there, it didn't end up being very relevant. Now they're grouped up here better.
Basically, they have to win a fight now, and they have absolutely no control of the area. There are a few wards around here for HLE.
Zeka hit his 2-item spike. I mean, there's an angle potentially if they could front to back this, but it's going to be so hard.
The neutral is so interesting as well between these two teams because of the rockets and the spears and the death rays and the shock blasts, right?
ZEUS has
arrows.
No vision to fire into. I mean, there's so much control vision here for KT. Like, he wants to aim a shock blast onto a squishy, but he has no idea where they are.
Yeah, and whoever has the vision has so much control because they have all of those poke tools. HLE going to move in, but they're not going to be contesting this Cloud Soul. As Peanut wanting to set up for a potential impale. He'll find a Braum who has the door up. They still manage to take him down though as the Tempered Fate will connect onto Cuz. Great double knock up here as now ZEUS is out of the fight and BDD is so incredibly big. Viper unable to stand and deliver with these auto attacks. And KT, they've got the Cloud Soul. They had to sacrifice Peter, but I think they'll probably say that it's worth.
Yeah, Cloud Soul is going to be pretty strong for them. And they maintain control. No edge here for HANWHA Life. No vision for ZEUS to hit those shock blasts. So difficult to play the neutral. And you can see Zeka did a ton of damage because he has this 2-item spike now online. But they're not able to fight together, not able to get that front to back they were looking for. It's KT for the aggressors. And from here, I thought, okay, maybe just let the kind of kite back and escape. But they actually go in, and it's a play here from Peter, where he dies but ends up absorbing so much pressure. The ult comes out from Delight as well, but Ducktom does so much over the wall, forces ZEUS to splash. BDD is just chiseling in some damage, and HANWHA Life with the low health bars there just cannot stay.
Yeah, and the reason, okay, never mind, we got a bit of a fight here as Delight is already very dead. Peanut crashes on forward, but the turret is going to go down, and now ZEUS off on a flank angle is going to nail Ducktom with that shock blast, actually picking the gap there quite beautifully. But still, KT get exactly what they're looking for, and they are so swift about it as well.
I mean, this is also Ducktom who doesn't have his IE. He's about to pick it up on this back right now, and then he's going to do serious damage in these front-to-backs. He does have it locked in, and I'm worried about how these fights are going to look here for HANWHA Life Esports if they don't have vision. You saw what ZEUS can do when he can see enemy champion. He doesn't miss those. Like, he hit Ducktom. He was able to thread the needle on that one. He's going to have to do that a ton in these upcoming fights. And now he doesn't have his flash, so he's a vulnerable target. Viper still has both of his summoners, so that's very critical here, as they will take out the mid turret as well. But just so much aggression from KT. They don't have standard engage.
Oh, so that's somehow the Q hit.
We kind of glossed over that last time. We came into the fight a little bit late, but
yeah, it looked because you know, Delight watched it get charged, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we didn't quite get the context of. But if I was Delight, I'd probably also think that I wasn't quite in it.
Yeah, it's a tricky hitbox, as Chronicler will often tell you.
Indeed.
Perfect has TP, so he can kind of just be over here and you know, miss off vision and like HANWHA Life like, ugh, you know, we can't really fight anything. They have some vision on the edge of the Autocon there, which is very nice for them, very important. So they don't know that BDD is backing right now necessarily. They have a question mark ping there on the bottom side, like, okay, maybe Perfect is going to finish off the turret. They're not sure. Zeka doesn't have TP, so goes bottom side to try to protect the turret, but now isn't here for this contested vision. And KT are playing the map really well.
Yeah, it's beautifully done. As Peter, standing stalwart, just trying to stop them from being able to get any vision around this Baron, but Cuz spots out the fact that they did manage to at least get one ward over there. And Delight has parked himself over here. Will not be able to stun up Peter or anything like that, but able to at least get a bit of added information as split pushing on the side there is BDD. And they're just going to start Autocon. I think they probably can as well, because there's not a lot of inroads here for HLE.
I really think it's quite difficult for HANWHA Life to challenge, and with that IE online here for Ducktom, it's going to go fast.
Yep, information goes over though, so HLE, they know what's up, and Delight can throw down the Tempered Fate. Arrow is going to connect onto Peanut, sorry, and they get rid of him. Great knock up there just to make sure that the Skarner is not getting out, because this could equal Baron time as well, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, that was so well played. Peter goes over there, identifies exactly where the Skarner is. They put an arrow on him. He can't steal, and that's Autocon. Viper, where are you going?
Well, the train has left the station, and so has Viper. They do get a fantastic Tempered Fate, but the Arcane Storm does absolutely nothing. Perfect just gets into the mix, but ZEUS takes out Peter. It's a noble sacrifice, though, and down goes Viper as well, who was just a little bit of an Owen Wilson there behind enemy lines. Not able to get it done. KT, they'll go back to what they wanted to do before, and they have had a monopoly on these objectives, only losing out on, I think maybe, no, nothing.
That's
actually
fine.
Nothing. Every neutral objective has gone to KT this game.
Yeah, though, every single one. That sign that we keep showing is this, Cuz has to live for KT to live. And it's been somewhat true in this game. He's only had one death. And he has, even without the topside prio, I think with BDD playing the mid matchup so incredibly well, I mean, he had so many angles this game, but watch this play here. Peter's like, all right, we know where Peanut is. I want to keep him away. Ducktom says, I'll help you do that. And they guarantee the smite. And then also, because there's no reason to then further the play, because Perfect has the tri-brush under control, no one can save Peanut, so he just dies. And Viper, on a kind of unusual flank angle here, perhaps trying to layer some damage into the carries at the back, but just isn't going to be able to do anything. They can't cut through the Scion. And Viper is just a sitting duck, so Duck Dom can also slow and help peel to make sure this is not an overextension on the chase onto the Varus. So KT get literally everything.
Yeah. And now there is 45 seconds until Elder, so that is like the most Exodia ever. Like if we're talking about it in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, the other side doesn't have cards.
Yeah.
You have your full deck in your hand, and they don't have cards. That's how it kind of works.
Yeah, but it's, or more or less.
Yeah. So it's a rough time. Let's just say that as far as objectives are concerned and extra stats and stuff like that. And do you know what just it makes me mad and proud and happy at the same time. Like it's a lot of emotions. It's the fact that KT are playing this game so well coordinated.
Yeah, and it's like
every every arrow that comes out is followed by like a smite happening, and Peter is now caught, but he flashes away. It's a different story here. Is now Peter. I'm not sure about that one, Peanut, but the Tempered Fate not really doing anything for HLE's benefit. KT had just spared some turret shots.
It's KT also in this game where they're constantly holding on to the control. You know, they're never letting it go. They're taking a lead and pushing it so well. And we haven't seen KT get as many leads as they'd like to, especially some of the early game drafts they've picked. But this time, they were able to get it early, and they just won't let it go. And I'm not making any errors. Zeka, on the other hand, is making a big error here.
Yep. There is an Elder Dragon. Some bounty gold coming on through here, but there's the dragon comes down from the sky. Winter's Bite is pretty powerful.
And
Passive blows procced, and that is the main wave clear now dead. KT are just marching it up this bottom lane, and this is even more decisive than game number 1.
And I stand by. I don't think this draft was better for KT, but sometimes comfort can be enough, man. And
oh, yeah.
Perfect on this tank, Cuz on his Nidalee, Duckdom on his iconic Ashe.
BDD on this Corki that he's like dominating on, watching him Valkyrie over this base gate, looking like he's having the best time ever.
Sometimes if you're just the better team.
Yep. BDD just walking the dog, man. Look at him go. There it is. Taking down the Jace. Peanut going to get snagged by the arrow, and it doesn't matter how many times he gets Mikhail's, he is still dead. Down goes Viper as well. It's a double kill here for BDD on the 9-0-4 Corki. There goes the Nexus, and KT, they'll take game number 2. Don't ask me what it means.